Good evening, everyone. I'm Doppler 10 meteorologist Ross Caruso. A beautiful start to the weekend for us, but boy, it's a little toasty out there. Temperatures have been hanging out into the 80s for us today. 88 for a high, currently sitting at 87. Something that's been sneaking up is the dew point. That's going to make things feel a bit more muggy. Fortunately, we've been looking at a decent breeze out of the southwest that'll continue into this evening. We do have a weak passing disturbance over the Great Lakes, perhaps offering a bit of cloud coverage into the early part of the night. Otherwise, we're staying dry as we head into your Sunday. Looking at some of those clouds, perhaps passing over towards the east into Licking County. Otherwise, you can see decent breeze through the course of the day. Probably not going to be as breezy going into Sunday, and it's actually going to be a bit hotter for us as well. But taking a look at temperatures, we're one of the hotter spots on the map. 87 here in Columbus, 82 in Bucyrus, 84 in Athens. How about 90 in MacArthur? So a lot of places climbing into those upper 80s for us today, and it's looking like that's going to continue to roll on well through your Labor Day weekend. Now, as we head into the rest of the evening, again, some passing clouds in the early part of the night. Temperature-wise, will fall into the mid-70s. We are not falling much further as we head out for your Sunday morning. Starting things off right around 70 degrees. So it is going to be a very warm, muggy start to the day. You probably already noticed that first thing this morning when you stepped outside. We'll see some passing clouds, otherwise mostly sunny, and quickly heating things up. Winds are going to shift more out of the west, but we're staying dry through the day. Temperatures are going to be into the low 80s by 11 a.m. Fast forward a couple hours into the afternoon, perhaps even near or at above 90 degrees by 3 p.m. So things are going to be staying pretty toasty for your Sunday. We're going to continue to hang out in the upper 80s from about 2 p.m. all the way through about 7 o'clock. So things are going to be pretty hot to end the weekend, and even going into Labor Day. We're looking at temperatures right around 92. Hotter potentially into Tuesday, near 90 on Wednesday, and then we start to see that fall off with those temperatures, which hopefully you can see a little bit of rain mix in, and that's probably mainly because, well, things are pretty dry out there right now, and several more days of high heat, humidity, and dry conditions certainly going to be adding to some drought potential across the state. Otherwise, it's looking like things are going to cool off and fortunately set things up for a very pleasant start to the day on Friday and for the weekend. As far as the remainder of the weekend, you still have time to check out the Obet Zucchini Festival. Again, Sunday starting at 11 to 11. Temperature-wise, things are going to be heating up, already at 80 degrees by 11 o'clock, 3 p.m., upper 80s, 90 degrees still, even going into the early evening hours for us, as those temperatures are going to be right around the upper 80s into the early part of the night. Something that might be a little bothersome as far as the weather. Ragweed's relatively high. Again, same with nettle, with the winds being a bit breezy at times, perhaps during the day on Sunday. That could be stirring up some of those allergens for you. And especially for your pets, want to make sure you're keeping those walks into the mornings, late evenings, from now all the way through next Thursday, because the temperatures are going to be climbing quite a bit, looking okay through the mid-morning hours, but then right around noon, that's when you really want to take the walks back a bit, especially into the hottest part of the day, where again, not only are the temperatures going to be hot, but those surface temperatures, you want to stick to those walks on those grassy surfaces and preferably the shade. And another great event going on. Check this out the other day, the Columbus Greek Festival. Another chance to check that out. It's going to be toasty, but just make sure you're staying cool and hydrated. Temperature-wise, upper 80s by 5 o'clock, and then falling into the low 80s near downtown Columbus. Your Labor Day Grillcast, it is going to be sizzling for us as we head into your afternoon hours on Monday. 88 degrees by 2 o'clock, 90 by 4, 6 p.m., still into the 90s, if not hotter, into the low 90s for us. But with that relief we're going to see going into next week, I want to give you a glimpse at what's to come potentially as we head into Thursday. We will see a system pass through. The issue that we have here as far as getting a lot of agreement with the models. Timing-wise, we're still off, still several days in advance. This system also looking like it's going to be pulling a bit further up to the north, so that might be pulling away some moisture that we would otherwise have if it was a little bit further south. Definitely things to change, but I want to give you a first glimpse at what could potentially happen, where going into the day on Thursday, that's probably the best likelihood we'll see some showers, perhaps some storms, a little too far in advance for us to determine, the severe potential, but something to keep an eye out for your Thursday, and you'll notice that on the 10-day where we have bumped up the rain chances. Of course, also looking to Ohio State's home opener going into next Saturday at 12 o'clock, kicking things off a little earlier into the day. Weather looks fantastic. Temperatures starting off into the upper 60s, low 70s. Kickoff at high noon, 75 degrees, upper 70s near 80 degrees through halftime at the end of the game as you're leaving the shoe. Weather looks fantastic as we head into the weekend. Small chance for that rain as we head into Wednesday. Otherwise, most of that's going to be occurring during the day on Thursday again. Looking like we could be dealing with perhaps a little less moisture associated with the system, but nonetheless, it's going to help to cool things down, snap the humidity yet again for us, and then perhaps looking at some more comfortable, more fall-like weather for us as we head through the following weekend and maybe sneaking in even into the following week.